It is odontogenic myxoma. Odontogenic myxoma. ठीक है? In odontogenic myxoma, we see a tennis racket appearance or a multilocular radiolucency, which is one of the hallmark of odontogenic myxoma. Is it clear? Should we go on to the next slide? Now, for cherubism, there are certain questions have come in addition to bilateral multilocular radiolucencies. If you can see, there are certain oral manifestations which appear to be unique to cherubism. There is agenesis of the second and the third molars, and the second line is perhaps the most important. Cherubism represents the only condition in which there is anterior displacement of the teeth. By anterior displacement, I mean, supposingly these are the multilocular radiolucencies in the posterior mandible. The teeth will actually be pushed towards the symphysis menti or towards the anterior mandible. Cherubism represents the only condition in which the teeth are displaced anteriorly. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now by displacement of teeth, I mean generally anterior displacement. But in which condition is perhaps most of the odontogenic cysts in the tumor actually displace the teeth bilaterally, but cherubism pushes it anteriorly. In addition to it, we come across these findings like premature exfoliation of primary teeth and sometimes delayed eruption, but most of these findings are more of elementary stuff, not really very difficult stuff to conceptualize. Is it clear? Now, coming to fibrous dysplasia. Now, if you guys are wondering why I have all of a sudden come to fibrous dysplasia, is the only reason because cherubism was previously called as familial fibrous dysplasia. Okay? Cherubism, well, the premature exfoliation of teeth of the deciduous teeth generally occurs in cherubism, and in addition to it, sometimes there is also a delayed eruption of the permanent teeth also. Okay? So these are the certain oral manifestation. Obviously, both the things will not happen in the same patient. So in some patients of cherubism, there will be premature exfoliation, and in some other patients of cherubism, there will be delayed eruption of permanent teeth. Now, the reason why I came across fibrous dysplasia is because cherubism was previously called as familial fibrous dysplasia. Now, I have written a word called hematomatous. Do you guys know what is a hematoma? Hematoma क्या होता है? What is an hematoma? Now, basically, the difference between a tumor and a hematoma is a tumor is an organized growth of mass. No, that is a hematoma. Hematoma is a collection of blood. This is an hematoma. An extra R is there. Now, in an hematoma, there is the basic difference is the tumor is organized and hematoma is disorganized growth of the corrective tissue. That is the only difference. The tumor is an organized growth, whereas an hematoma is disorganized growth. Okay? So, is it clear? Should I go on to the next part now? The difference between a tumor and a hematoma. Examples of hematoma. Can you guys give me an example of an hematoma? Hemangioma. Hemangioma, remember, is not a tumor. It is an hematoma. Basically, an example of a disorganized growth of the blood vessels is called as hemangioma. Okay? Similarly, disorganized growth of the fibrous tissue replacing normal bone is fibrous dysplasia. Okay? Now, fibrous dysplasia is basically, well, we all know this, monostotic, polyostotic. Now, just a short slide to tell what exactly happens in fibrous dysplasia. Now, the reason why fibrous dysplasia becomes pretty important to you guys is fibrous dysplasia is pretty prevalent. In fact, in India, it's not common, but abroad, it's pretty common, fibrous dysplasia. What actually happens in fibrous dysplasia, as you can see in the slides, the normal bone starts getting replaced by the cellular fibrous tissue. Okay? Why it happens, how it happens is still unknown, and we just have one word for this: idiopathic. None of us, nobody knows how this starts happening, but what they say is there is some sort of mutation in a gene which results in the replacement of the normal bone by the cellular fibrous tissue. Okay? Now monostotic fibrous dysplasia, well, all this is again elementary stuff. 80 to 85% of cases, male, female, similar decade. Sites में we have written it, ribs, femur, tibia, maxilla. Now the word maxilla becomes important for us guys. The word maxilla really becomes important. Because of this, we have certain oral manifestations of fibrous dysplasia. By fibrous dysplasia, I mean monostotic fibrous dysplasia. Remember, in fibrous dysplasia, these are the oral medicine findings, which are not really important as compared to your radiological findings. Now, what are these radiological findings? These are the radiological findings. As you can see in the slide, any stage of fibro-osseous lesion, these are the radiographic features of the fibrous dysplasia. Either monostotic or polyostotic, really doesn't matter because it's the same stuff radiographically. Now, every stage of fibrous dysplasia is divided into 3 stages. The first stage is complete radiolucency. The second stage is intermediate stage. And the last stage is it starts becoming fully radio opaque. Okay? The first stage is completely radiolucent. The second stage is intermediate, and the last stage is completely radio opaque appearance. We have these certain appearances which are the hallmark of fibrous dysplasia: ground glass appearance, frosted glass appearance, orange peel appearance. All these appearances are seen in fibrous dysplasia. In addition to these radiographic appearances, we come across some other radiographic findings also, like this: lack of sharp marginal definition. Can you guys in this particular OPG tell me where is fibrous dysplasia? Is it left side anterior maxilla, right side anterior maxilla, right side posterior mandible, left side posterior mandible? Can you guys write it down? Can you see the OPG clearly? I think you can. So in this slide, what you can see is in which part of the entire OPG can you make out where there is fibrous dysplasia. Mandible left? No, it is not mandible left, though there is a lesion, but that is a different lesion. In posterior mandible, can you see the cursor? This is not fibrous dysplasia. Okay? This is not fibrous dysplasia, this is rather inostosis. Do you guys know exostosis? Exostosis is bony outgrowth. In exostosis there is bony outgrowth, whereas inostosis there is ingrowth. In this condition, the fibrous dysplasia is actually in the anterior maxilla right side. Can you make out now? Just see the slide now carefully. Can you see the cursor? Anterior maxilla right side. You might be able to see certain radiopaque area. Just compare it with the left side of maxilla. You can see the maxillary sinus very clearly in the left side, but in the right side, the maxillary sinus, no, not above the maxillary sinus, on the area of the maxillary sinus. Okay, you cannot see the cursor, so I'll just guide you in this. So in this case, just compare the maxilla, right side and the left side. Can you see this? Yes, the sinus cannot be seen in the right side of the maxilla, isn't it? Why we cannot see it? Because there is a bony outgrowth of fibrous dysplasia that has completely obliterated the maxillary sinus. So diagnosing fibrous dysplasia is pretty difficult simply because of the reason that it completely merges with the surrounding bone. Yeah, as you can see, lack of sharp marginal definition is the hallmark of fibrous dysplasia. Okay? Can you see any root resorption in this? Can you make out any root resorption? No. Remember, in fibrous dysplasia, there is absolute resorption. There is absolutely no root resorption. After tooth displaced हो जाएगा, tooth will start getting displaced, but there will never ever be any kind of root resorption. Okay? Now, what are the other radiographic features of fibrous dysplasia in addition to this? Remember, it is merging with the maxillary sinus, it's merging with everything. It is causing complete obliteration of the maxillary sinus as it is completely invisible. There is something called as thumbprint appearance. Thumbprint appearance. I'll just write it down. Appearance. Thumbprint appearance or fingerprint appearance is again the hallmark of fibrous dysplasia. This appearance of fingerprint or the thumbprint appearance is actually not seen in any other condition in addition to this. If you see your finger or thumb, can you make out that there are certain whorls of fingerprint appearance like appearance? Similar appearance is seen in fibrous dysplasia. Is it clear? So these are the certain unique radiographic features. And one more thing about fibrous dysplasia. In fact, this has come as a question. What is the commonest site of fibrous dysplasia? It is actually maxilla. It is not the mandible. Whenever rarely it will occur in mandible, it will cause one very unique thing of the posterior mandible. What unique thing? It is the only condition that will cause superior displacement of inferior alveolar nerve canal. This represents the only condition in which there is superior displacement of the nerve canal. Only condition that exists in the entire radiology. All the condition, odontogenic cyst and tumor, what do? They cause inferior displacement of the nerve canal. But fibrous dysplasia represents the only condition that causes superior displacement of the nerve canal. That is a very common viva question which is generally asked everywhere. Okay. Now that was about moniostotic fibrous dysplasia. Now coming on to the polyostotic fibrous dysplasia. Now in the polyostotic fibrous dysplasia, we generally, how do we differentiate it? The only difference is there is an involvement of more than two bones. It is called as polyostotic fibrous dysplasia. The hallmark of polyostotic fibrous dysplasia is that it is generally divided into two parts, Jaffe-Lichtenstein syndrome and one more syndrome called as McCune-Albright syndrome. Please don't get scared with these heavy words. Okay? Now the only difference is Jaffe-Lichtenstein syndrome. I just written it down. It is when fibrous dysplasia involves 2 or 3 bones and it is associated with CAFO-A-late pigmentation. We call it as Jaffe-Lichtenstein syndrome. Is it clear? Now, these is how a CAFO-late spots clears us. Can you make out CAFO-late spots? Yeah. You guys take coffee with milk? Yes, that is the coffee with milk appearance is seen in CAFO-late spot. This is just to show you how a CAFO-late spot actually seen there. Please don't go across what is written as coastline of Maine and California. I'll just edit it later. A CAFO-late spot is generally seen in multiple neurofibromatosis and polyostotic fibrous dysplasia. Okay? Now that was about Lichtenstein syndrome. Now what happens is there is multiple bone involvement, there is CAFO-late spot, we know this is now Jaffe-Lichtenstein syndrome, but what is, there is certain multiple endocrine conditions like these few conditions which are written in this particular slide. Now remember McCune-Albright syndrome, there is one common question asked throughout everywhere is, if McCune-Albright syndrome occurs in males, it cannot be McCune-Albright syndrome. Reason? It represents the only condition that occurs exclusively in females. Exclusively. I have written females in bold. Can you guys see? It means that McCune-Albright syndrome can always occur in females only. If it is occurring in males, it means that this is not McCune-Albright syndrome. It means it is some other condition and which we guys need to investigate it. Is it clear? Now I just Drawn something called as coastline of Maine and coastline of California. Now you guys might be wondering why I have written it. Well, Maine and California, these are the states in US, right? Now, coastline of Maine is the appearance of the K4 spots. This is seen in neurofibromatosis. Coastline of Maine is seen in neurofibromatosis. The coastline of Maine is actually very irregular. That is why the appearance has been called as coastline of Maine. And coastline of California is a very smooth, regular, continuous border. That is, if you can see both the coffee with milk appearances, you can make out the difference. It is very irregular in coastline of Maine, whereas in coastline of California, the appearance is very smooth, uniform, continuous. Coastline of California is the seen in fibrous dysplasia. Okay? Coastline of Maine is seen in, we come across a condition called as multiple neurofibromatosis, whereas coastline of California is seen in our fibrous dysplasia. Okay? I have written a word called hockey stick deformity. Can you guys see hockey stick deformity? Well, this is generally leg discrepancy due to the involvement of the upper portion of femur. Remember, this condition is polyostotic fibrous dysplasia. In polyostotic fibrous dysplasia, remember, not one bone but multiple bones are involved. And when fibrous dysplasia involves your femur, then it leads to enlargement of the upper portion of femur, leading to a leg discrepancy, and that is called as hockey stick deformity. Okay? Now radiographic features, again, monostotic, polyostotic, same stuff. No difference at all. Fingerprint appearance, thumbprint appearance. Now if I ask you, cotton wool appearance is seen in? Cotton wool appearance is seen in? Cotton wool appearance. Where is cotton wool appearance seen in? Paget's. Exactly, good. The cotton wool appearance is seen in Paget's disease. What is the other condition which is sometimes confused with Paget's? It is fibrous dysplasia. Some students tend to confuse and they start saying that cotton wool appearance is seen in fibrous dysplasia. Remember, cotton wool appearance is not seen in fibrous dysplasia. I am using the word not. Is it clear? Before coming on to the second question, I just forgot one more stuff, important stuff. How do you treat fibrous dysplasia? How do you treat cherubism? How do you treat cherubism? Treatment of cherubism. Do you do surgery? What do you do? Or do you do any radiation therapy? Do you guys do radiotherapy? Yes or no? Surgery आप करते हो? Radiotherapy करते हो? No. We do not do radiotherapy. We actually do something called as, I'll just write it down for you guys, cosmetic recontouring. Cosmetic, the R is missing, is this cosmetic recontouring. Okay? What do you mean by that, guys? Cosmetic recontouring. By the word cosmetic recontouring, we mean we just do a such kind of, surgically we do not dispose of excise of the particular area. What we do is, we just simply surgically elevate the area in such a way that it appears similar to the normal area. How do we treat for cherubism? We do not do any treatment for cherubism. Cherubism generally gets treated on its own. There is one very common MCQ question. What if we do a radiation therapy? Yes, it is no treatment. What if we do radiation therapy in these patients? अगर आप radiation therapy in patients पे कर लोगे, what will be the most biggest complication you can come across in these patients if we do radiation therapy? Well, it's a very common MCQ question. If we do radiation therapy in these patients, it will lead to a very lethal condition called as osteogenic sarcoma. Agar aap radiation therapy, if you do radiation therapy in these patients, either cherubism or fibrous dysplasia, this will lead to a condition called as osteogenic sarcoma. Is it clear? Yes, it is osteogenic sarcoma. Should we go on to the next question now? Is it clear? Any doubts, you can just write it down about fibrous dysplasia, cherubism, anything. Paget's I'll be covering a little later. Is it clear? Should we go on to the next question? Yes. Now the second question is multiple